Retro Zone.
And welcome everybody to another episode of the Animanicast. And welcome everybody once again to another episode of the Animanicast. This, of course, is the podcast that is dedicated to the animated television series Animaniacs, as well as other shows within the Rueggerverse, such as Tiny Toon Adventures, Pinky and the Brain, and Freakazoid. But today, we are wrapping things up for Season 2 of the Animaniacs reboot. That's right, we're going to be talking about all of our favorite episodes and not-so-favorite episodes, favorite moments and not-so-favorite moments. We're going to be sharing your thoughts as well. I am Joey, and joining me once again is my brother Nathan.
Baby Brainy.
And across the country in Georgia, there's Kelly.
Hello.
Hey, Kelly. Nathan, nice little thing right there. Good news, Nathan, today you did not have to prepare any trivia. So
good. I did not.
Exactly.
We've gone over everything that has ever happened on November 5th.
Yeah, exactly. We challenge you to find anything, let's say, interesting. Maybe one of our listeners' birthdays on November 5th, and if so, happy birthday.
I was gonna say it just occurred. I think Ralph Macchio's is actually November 4th, but it just popped into my head because when I was
so close,
young and crushing on him, I had his birthday memorized, but I think his is the 4th.
Probably had the Teen Bop magazine on the wall.
I certainly did.
Yep.
Bop and the Big Bopper and Teen Beat.
See, that's life before Instagram right there, Like, I don't think they really make those magazines anymore. But, yeah, back in the 80s and 90s, boy, they had a bunch of those magazines with just, Saved by the Bell Boys and Ralph Macchio and Menudo. I don't know what else was on those things. Those are always the ones I went, where's the...
New Kids on the Block.
New Kids on the Block, of course, yes. But then I'm sure they make one or two of them still to this day. But for the most part, it's like...
I think so. I mean, I'm amazed when I go to Barnes & Noble how many magazines are still being published.
Yeah. So, but now it's let's face it, kids, it's on TikTok and Instagram. That's where you find these things now. Well, today we are going to be talking about We're going to be talking about Season 2 of the Animaniacs reboot. And so we're going to go through kind of just a brief description of each one. And then Nathan, Kelly, and we're all going to give you our one or two word summation of our thoughts on that episode. We're going to tell you what our favorite episode was and what our not-so-favorite episode it was and what some of our thoughts are on what we'd like to see for Season 3 of the reboot. And, of course, I went ahead and asked some of the folks on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and our Patreon and email and stuff like that with some of their thoughts. And we also did some thoughts from a Twitter space thing that Nathan and I were able to put together a few days ago. So we got a lot of feedback on this episode. So hopefully we'll get to as many as we can. We'll put it that way. But if you were to summarize Season 2 of the Animaniacs reboot in just a word, as a whole, what would you say, Nathan?
It's similar to Season 1. No.
All right. And Kelly, what about you?
It's better than Season 1.
Better than Season 1. See? Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Well, I would say both of those statements are correct.
Exactly. I'm like, better is similar.
Well, let's go ahead and get to our discussion of each episode. Let's start with episode number 1, a.k.a. episode 14 of the reboot. So episode 1, season 2, a.k.a. episode 14. So episode 14 was Rome, Sweet Rome, Backwards Pinky, and then Wacko's Short Shorts, Now Loading. And this was the initial description that Hulu gave us. These are always fun to do because they sometimes describe them really well and sometimes not well at all. They said, The Warners deal with Nero. Okay, Rome, sweet Rome. Brain and Pinky accidentally become conjoined. Gotcha. And then Wacko waits for his new game to load. That is good description right there, Hulu. What did you two think about this in just a couple words, one or two? What would you say about episode 14? Nathan, what do you think?
I wrote promising.
Okay. And Kelly, what about you?
I wrote backwards.
All right.
Just pick a word out of the title.
Yeah, pretty much. And Joey didn't specify we had to have an opinion.
No, just a word.
No, it's just a word. Yeah, exactly.
So
That's
I picked
fine.
a word.
Picking a word.
When I think about that episode, I think of the backwards Gary, and it's ah.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to pick one word that is kind of summarizes my just impression of the whole thing, which is Trump. There you go. I'm flying by the seat of my pants on this episode, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, because it's the end of the school year for me, and I'm so busy. I just ranted to Kelly beforehand about all the things I'm doing. I'm not going to.
I hope you graduate.
Oh, me too. I've been in middle school for so long. I always tell kids hey, you only have to be in middle school for 3 years. I've been here for 16. So, oh boy. Well, let's go ahead and move on to episode 15. It was Please Submit, The Flawed Couple, and Everyday Safety. And of course, this was the Warners are harassed by spam. And then Nora must fill the segment time by airing failed, never before seen Pinky and the Brain Pilots. And then the Warners give safety advice. That was with the what was that? The molasses coming down the hill? Yeah. Well, at any rate, what did you think, Nathan? One or two words. What do you think about episode 15?
Well, I wrote WandaVision.
Ah!
Is that what you wrote?
That's what I wrote.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. They're in agreement. There we go. Well, my would be creepy, because Wacko got creepy in that one. That was like a kind of a creepy thing, but yeah, just general impression.
Nathan stole mine though, because I brought up WandaVision when we reviewed the episode.
Wrote it down before you even said it.
I
wrote these things way back when I saw the episodes the first time. So,
well, don't worry. We'll even. I'll go to you first.
From you,
I'll go to you first on this next one, Kelly. Okay. So here we go.
Okay,
episode 16. Episode 16 was Rug of War, and then Run Pinky Run, and then the Hamburg Tickler. The Warners go inside the Bayou Tapestry? Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Pinky needs to get money to save Brain and fast. And then Scratch and Sniff tries to teach the Warners a lesson about lying. So, what do you think, Kelly?
I wrote Lola.
Lola.
Run, Lola, run.
Oh, that's right. And Nathan, what about you?
I wrote German.
German. And I'm going to say history, because it was the first time that it really kind of did a history. It did a little bit, obviously, in previous episodes in the reboot.
I should have written down tapestry, and then I could be all we're here to build the tapestries. If you are Scottish Lord, then I am Mickey Mouse.
We're just having an exchange online. It was great. I was just dealing about the very same thing. Well, yes. So that was a nice one for me. I don't remember just the Bayou Tapestry, even though it was not the best song. It was just kind of a nice thing for me to go, oh, they're returning back to lessons about something. That's not necessarily even it's kind of silly because the Warners are telling us about it, but it's more educational than anything, I suppose. It's yeah. And of course, the Run Lola Run thing. That shot of the Pinky going down the stairs.
Iconic.
And it matches. I still haven't posted. I did a side-by-side, comparison.
Did I mention when we talked about this, there was a fan film I saw during DragonCon one year, Run, Leia, Run.
Oh, really?
Did I not mention that? And it's Leia trying to rescue Han, I think.
Oh, that's
she mentioned it. You don't remember?
Well, then I can't remember everything. It's been a long week. I'm living. Half my blood is coffee at this moment. Well, let's go and move on to episode 17. Episode 17 starts with Ralph World, and then it had My Super Sour 16, and then How to Brain Takes Over the World. The description is Ralph parody. There you go. Then the Warners ruin a super sweet 16 party, and then Pinky makes a how-to video about taking over the world. What do you two think? Oh, one or two words. Kelly, let's start with you again. What do you think?
I wrote YouTube.
Nathan?
I wrote long. I think it just felt like the longest episode.
Yeah. And I would say probably disingenuous or something. Just if I was pick one moment that it kind of was a highlight or low light for me, was probably the moment where it felt really forced, like Dot empathizing with the 16-year-old, and it was just like, feels forced. Like, no, don't. This girl was a brat the entire time. Let's not. Yeah, okay, whatever. I just didn't. The ending, it didn't stick the landing on that one. It was just like you said, also Nathan. It just felt long. not the highlight of the season, and very confusing why they decided to show that as the preview on like the live stream a day or two before the actual premiere, like on Twitter. They showed that episode, and I was just like, boy, why did they pick this one? That was not the highlight of the season. At any rate, moving on to season 2, episode 5, aka episode 15. That's The Warners Are Present, The Pink Tater, and Know Your Scroll. And the Warners heckle an artist at a museum. Then Brain wants to become a dictator. And then the Warners try to find something to watch on a streaming service. So let's go back to Nathan. Nathan, what do you say?
I just wrote schmucks. I don't know what. I guess
dinner for schmucks.
Dinner for schmucks. Yeah. Okay.
There you go. Just schmucks. Kelly, what about you?
I wrote artistic.
Ooh,
nice. I should have wrote robot.
Yeah. And I can't really think of anything off the top of my head. I'm just going to say not funny. I just didn't really think that. How about that for a description?
Yeah, that's fine. Beep, boop.
Yeah, not that funny. Nothing, just didn't really work for me. Episode 19, Yakko's Big Idea, Mouse Congeniality, and Rejected Animaniacs characters. Starting off with Yakko has a new invention, and then Pinky participates in a Miss Universe pageant, and then the Warners revisit some rejected Animaniacs characters. Let's go ahead and start with Nathan.
I put fine. I don't know.
And Kelly, what do you say?
I put exoplanets.
Okay.
Because he like sings about them.
He does. That was pretty cool. I'm gonna break the rules, and I'm gonna put a couple more words in there. And
you can't do that.
Sure, why not? I'm gonna say you and me both, pal, because it was just the thing that stood out as.
Yeah, they should have done it at rule 3. They only did it twice.
Yeah,
it should have been the very first thing he said. That way, the joke would also make sense because he didn't say it the very first thing he said.
Yeah.
So, that definitely docked some points on that episode when I rated it.
Episode 20, aka episode 2 or season 2, episode 7, Yakko a Mako, The Longest Word, Happy Narf Day, and a manga cartoon or magna cartoon, not a manga cartoon. That was the Animaniacs was last year. So Yakko goes head to head with an animator. And then the Warners fight over who knows the longest word. Brain is forced to celebrate Pinky's birthday, and the Warners sing a song about the Magna Carta. And let's start with Kelly. What did you say?
Narf Day.
And Nathan, what about you?
I put fun.
All right, and I will say okay. I know a lot of people loved Yakko a Mako. They really loved that one. And for me, I really, like I said, it was just, okay. Like, the animation felt like some of the stiffest in that. And the one that they should have spent more time in, the Magna Carta one, felt like, oh, we got to rush this one. And I'm like, why? Why not just get rid of that whole Yakko Amako thing and do Magna Cartoon as a full segment. But oh well. All right, episode 21. We're already getting towards the end here, or at least halfway through. Wackiver Twist, part 1, and then The Plight of Hand, and then Wackiver Twist, part 2. The Warners parody Oliver Twist, and then Pinky's Hands have a mind of their own. Nathan, what did you say?
So I put one word. If I could do 2 words, I'll say. But my one word was meh. If I did 2 words, I would do second word musical.
Meh-musical?
Meh-musical.
And it's a meh-musical. Kelly, what about you?
I put handsy.
Hands? Oh, handsy.
Handsy, yeah.
Something you don't want people to be. That's true. Yeah, I would just say, I don't know. I'll just say disappointed. I just mainly because Wackiver Twist was a nice musical parody, but boy, oh boy, they used to knock those things out of the park in the original series when it came to musical parodies. And this one was fine, but it was,
It was meh.
It was meh. Musical. Episode 22. What is that? And then Mouse Madness. And Christopher Column Busted. And Fake Medicines. The Warners don't know what something is. Brain rigs a college basketball tournament. The Warners question Christopher Columbus's discoveries. And the Warners review a prescription medication. So what do you think about episode 22? Let's go back to Kelly.
Madness, I
tell you. And Nathan?
I put mixed because high highs, low lows, I guess is the...
Yeah, and I'm just going to say ugh.
Yeah.
Because this was for me, I think maybe the one that I really, after I left it, I was just like, I don't like this episode. The Christopher Column Busted, I had such high expectations, and maybe that's my own fault, but come on. It's Christopher Columbus. Let's get that guy parodied right. And then the plot hole with Mouse Madness of jumping back and forth, like how it just, I don't know. Listen more about that.
There's cool animation.
That's true. It looked cool. There was a few moments in there that looked cool.
And there was a cool song there that I still don't know what that was, but...
Oh, what do you mean, the whole Christopher Columbus song?
No, in the song inside the Mouse Madness while he's going through time.
Oh, that's right.
There was like a song there. I was like, ooh.
Well, the Christopher Columbus song certainly wasn't that
No,
great.
that was not fun.
Well, moving on to episode 23, we got Exercise Minute, and then Reichenbrain Falls, targeted ads, and bath time. Starts off with the Warners lead a mandatory exercise break, and Brain's plan to take over the ISS is foiled by an old adversary. The Warners queue up some targeted ads, and Starbucks fails to escape Cindy during bath time. Nathan, what's your one word for that?
I put jam-packed.
Okay. Kelly, what do you think?
Julia.
I'm gonna say okay. I mean, it was fine. It was nice to see Julia, even though I still don't like how Julia comes. I don't like Julia's origin story. I like Julia, just not how she came to be. Moving on, episode 24, A Brief History of History. Gerard. Then The Prisoner's Dilemma, Masterpiece Theater, Beach Balls. Yakko explains the history of the world. Then Gerard has a gnome in his mouth. Pinky and the Brain are mouse-snapped by another supervillain. And Dot gives a dramatic math lesson about beach balls. And you have to help me out. I'm literally going blank on what supervillain is mouse-snapping.
Willy Wonka.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
See, I see. I'm going back to our initial reading through this, and I literally thought, well, it must be Julia in that first one, and then Julia again. But no. What's your one word for this one, Kelly?
Pudding.
Ooh. Wait, why?
because of the gnome in the mouth, and
Oh, that's right.
got mad because ate the pudding. And I don't I was going through and like keywords that made me remember the episodes, and I was like, oh yeah, pudding makes me think of the episode.
There you are. Let's see, Nathan. What's a 1 or 2 word for you?
Oh, I put controversial because of the whole city rhyming with city.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm gonna say cursing as my 1 word kind of memory of this, which I did not like because I mean, yeah, you say SHI, and I'm sorry, that's not something I can show on to my children in school. Which isn't that kind of the point of doing these songs so that kids can listen to them, right? Oh well. Episode 25. Now we're getting towards the end. Warner's arc, the apology, and then Narf over troubled water and the Warner's vault. The Warners pick up a bunch of stranded mythical creatures before a flood. The Warners apologize to their viewers. Pinky and the Brain try to take over the world with music in the 60s, and the Warners revisit some archival footage. Let's go to Kelly. What do you think?
Chicken boo.
Chickaboo! Nathan, what do you say?
I put wholesome.
All right. And I will say pretty good. Might have been my favorite episode. Let's close it on up, though, with episode 26. 80s Cats, then All About the Benjamin, and then 23 and WB. The Warners take on a retro look. The Warners work as Benjamin Franklin's apprentices. The Warners take a DNA test, only to find out they're related to the CEO. I'll try to do it like the song, but I can't. Nathan, what do you say for number 26, last episode of the season?
I put finally. I mean, finale. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yes. You gotta read your writing. Kelly, what did you say?
I originally, when I was going through them and typing it out, I had originally written Dino DNA because I just bought a cute little Mr. DNA cardigan from Hot Topic yesterday. And but anyway, so I was like, well, that's not relevant to the episode. That's just my personal life. And so I just changed it back to DNA.
All right.
But that's what first popped into my head. Dino DNA.
Still fun to say.
I know, right?
Well, I'll just say good animation. I remember the 23 and WB having quite good animation, and I did enjoy that one. But yeah, there you go. There's our few word thoughts right there. So let me go to our next question. What is your favorite episode, the best episode you think in season 2? Nathan, what do you think?
I put my favorite as Exercise Minute, Reichenbach Falls, Targeted Ads, and Bath Time.
Why do you say that?
I just like the twist in Reichenbach Falls, and I thought it was fun. It was just I think all the segments were good enough. And most of the other episodes, there'll be like one segment where I'm like, I didn't like that one. But that one, yeah, I enjoyed all of them well enough. So.
Reichenbach Falls did lend itself to a rewatch.
Yeah.
That was a nice thing about that one. I can't say the same thing of a lot of the cartoons. It
was probably my favorite. Pinky and the Brain is probably also why, I think.
All right. Kelly, what about you? What's your favorite?
I picked episode 20 with Narf Day and the other segments. Which I think were also pretty decent, but I really enjoyed Narf Day.
All right. And I'm going to go with episode 25, like I just was basically saying before, because I think Narf over troubled water is just very true to some classic Pinky and the Brain. And I liked the music, and I just liked how it focused on their dependence on each other to help each other out. When they're separated, they can't function properly. And I thought that was nice. I thought it was, like I said, the truest to the Pinky and the Brain that I am familiar with. So yeah, that's my favorite. Now let's go to, maybe we should have done this first, but let's go to your least we'll call it your least favorite, not the one you didn't like or whatever, but just your least favorite and why. And this time we'll start with Kelly. We'll reverse it the other way. What do you think, Kelly? What's your least favorite?
I think I'm going to go with number 24 with the gnome in the mouth and the supervillain and the masterpiece theater, because I didn't really like any of those segments.
Yeah.
And because I think most of the other episodes had at least one segment that I liked. I mean, usually Pinky and the Brain is pretty strong, even if the Warner segments aren't. And there were some pretty decent Warner segments this season also. But this one just didn't really have anything that I jumped out at me that I really liked. But it was a close tie with the Sweet 16 one. But at least that one had a cute Pinky and the Brain.
All right. Well, let's see. I guess we'll go with Nathan. Nathan. I was going to say me, but I'm going to go Nathan.
I picked episode 17, which was my super sweet, super sour 16 episode, which I didn't like. The Pinky and the Brain one, I also didn't like that one. Maybe because after that, it just felt long. Even though there's like 2 segments in it.
Yeah, really. Well, that super sweet sour 16 or whatever really felt like, God, that had a commercial break basically right in the middle of it. And it's like, you can't condense this thing down to just, we get the point. Let's get this moving. Again, very confused why they decided to pick that one as like, hey everybody, watch this season. Here's what you can expect.
It only gets better.
They should have put that down. Wow. Okay. Well, I'm gonna say probably episode 22 for me. I mean, and just because that was the only one that literally afterwards I felt obliged. I felt like I had to say something just on my personal Facebook page until I realized, oh wait, I'm friends with some of the people that actually work on the show. And then immediately took it down like, oh boy, I shouldn't say mean things about the stuff on the personal thing. But this one really just, oh man, it hurt my brain. I had to explain to that person afterwards, like, by the way, I'm sorry I said that, but here's the reason why I didn't really like this episode. And they went, yeah, I guess I could see that. Yeah. Okay.
Ouch. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, they said, ouch. And I went, oh no. Well, anyway. So episode 22 for me, was not fun. But so there's some, I guess it's in a more promising direction though, I suppose, than season 1. I think season 1, it seems like it's better than season 1, like you said. It's more of the same, but yet better.
I've been tracking the numbers, as we've been rating these episodes.
What do we got? We have of course been giving Water Tower ratings, ladies and gentlemen.
Water Tower ratings.
Nathan is the keeper of the Excel sheet.
Our favorite episode, it was a tie. I'm just saying on average, was episode 1, or episode 14, Rome Sweet Rome, backwards Pinky's Wacko Shorts, now loading. These both got a 4 on average. Same with episode 25, also got a 4 on average, which was the Narf over Troubled Waters and Wacko's Arc. We all gave that one a 4. That was a triple agreement one. So,
wow.
And then our least favorite one was the Super Sour 16. On average was just over 2. We all gave it 2, or Kelly gave it 2.5 there. So.
Wow. So pretty low. Yeah, that pretty matches up with what we were just saying.
I took an average of every episode. So my average water tower for every episode this season was 3.18. Yours was 3.14, and Kelly was harshest with 2.63.
Wow.
As the average, yeah.
See, everyone thinks I'm the mean one, I think.
But here's the cool thing. All of our scores are up slightly from season 1, which my average was 3.058. Yours was 3.10, and Kelly's was 2.5.
See, Kelly's the mean one, folks.
But we all went up about a 1/10 of a point.
I don't want to hear anybody out there say that I'm mean.
was Kelly was the meanest.
Kelly might have a sweet Southern accent. Everyone thinks, "Oh, Kelly's so nice." No, listen to this. She's a hater.
Wow.
I am not a hater.
Everyone tweet her on. No, kidding.
I don't know how my scores can be the lowest because I almost always rank the episodes higher than you do, Joey.
That's on average.
I guess
the numbers
ones that I don't like.
Oh wait,
really
no,
don't.
I think I got the numbers mixed up. Yep, Joey's the one that has the lowest.
Are you for real?
I just assumed Kelly was the last one. So yep.
Oh, really? I was the lowest. Oh, okay. No,
I
Yeah,
knew
you
that
were the
didn't make any sense. All that. See,
take back it all. Take it all back.
I
So
knew
was I
there
the lowest?
No way.
Wait, so was I the lowest on both seasons?
Yep.
Oh,
Figured.
I was just looking at the row, and then I looked at the top. It says Jay.
well, hopefully,
I'm like, I bet
hopefully
that's
people
Joey.
just stopped listening. Hopefully, people just stopped listening to the show, and then
when they found out.
They're
Yeah,
like,
Kelly,
okay.
you got
Then they
you
press
got
stop.
high almost for this.
3.14.
It was 3.14245. So I'm like, ooh,
Awesome.
that's so close.
so close to pi.
So close.
Oh wow. So we're gonna go ahead and get to our listener feedback right now. We're gonna start as always with our lovely patrons over at patreon.com/Animaniacast. These folks are going to be able to start voting for episodes for us to review next. For Pinky the Brain and Tiny Toons and Freakazoid. No, I guess not Freakazoid. Because Freakazoid we're just doing
They can
it.
still vote.
They can still vote, and we're going to be like, that's a great...
You want to do the next episode?
Should we do the...
Yes or no?
Yes or yes. There is no
Gonna do it
other
anyways,
option.
yeah.
So let's go ahead and start with... let's start with the Cartoon Gamer. And his thoughts on Season 2 was, I enjoyed it. I actually rewatched it recently with my brother, and there were a lot of serious laugh-out-loud moments, oohs and ahs, etc. It sounds like he was watching a fireworks show.
Ooh.
Some segments were better than others, of course, but the great ones really stuck out in my mind. I also enjoyed seeing characters like Julia return, Nora, Scratch and Sniff, and Ralph being more prominent, and more nods to the old cast. Overall, this series is a case of, quote, not quite your father's Animaniacs, but at the same time, it's kind of where it's kind of is when it wants to be. It makes it for something I found unique, which is true. And I also think the show is starting to just kind of figure out what it wants to be also, which is nice. It's not having like a crisis of character, I suppose. Even though I may not like necessarily all the choices they make, it seems like they're kind of set in their ideas of what they want to do on the show, which is nice. MJ says, I really enjoyed Season 2. I thought they ironed out a lot of the wrinkles from the first season and made some noticeable improvements. Some of the things I enjoyed include the Pinky and the Brain segments. Some of my favorite segments include Happy Narf Day, Plight of Hand, and Narf Over Troubled Water. By the way, everybody, MJ is one of the hosts of the Poitcast, and it's a podcast you definitely should check out, especially if you want to focus on all those Pinky the Brain stuff. So they know their Pinky the Brain stuff, let me tell you. The songs were a lot more fun and memorable than the first season. The animation is very experimental and impressive, and I appreciate how Nora has much bigger role this season. Overall, I'd say that this season was great. Well, there's our patrons. There's some of our patrons putting in their thoughts, but let's see what else thoughts we got here. Let's go to Twitter. Kelly, what did we find out here on Twitter? Any thoughts so far?
Yeah, Isaac Daniel said that this season is surely an improvement over the first season. No reliance on trends or political events, just pure comedy, which is what I would expect from Animaniacs. And Super Bong,
Okay.
BOMG, Bong.
Yep.
Sorry. I swear they need to add Slappy to the reboot. The casting is very limited, and the episodes all feel repetitive. I think adding Slappy to the reboot would fix this issue. And Animaniacs says that the second season of the reboot had better jokes than season 1, and I hope to see some forgotten characters return in season 3.
Okay. Nathan, what do we got on Facebook or Instagram? What are you on there?
Well, on Facebook, we got a like and a heart. And then on
Ooh.
Instagram,
Yeah, it's just to be fair, I just posted this about a couple
I'm
hours
sure
ago.
if you were to check now, listeners, there'd probably be some comments.
Probably
But
see me some more, and
what I have
maybe I
now-
might put in some posts if there's some really good comments. I might, if I have time, record some of them. We'll see.
Okay. But here we go. This is from Lovely Live Livy. She says, it took too long to get good. Then Mako happened, and I decided it wasn't worth sticking around. And then Raekwon Edmondson, too, says it was awesome to me, smiley face. And then Kyan Whiteley says the season did promise to be zanier, brainier, and insanier, so I'm pretty happy. The songs and characters was perfect too. I hope in season 3 there will be another Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain crossover, like in the Oliver Twist parody.
I would love to see some additional classic characters in a musical like that. Like I said before, but whatever. Well, let's see. We got an email here. It says, "I thought season 2 was a little improved. Did I say this is from Jeffrey? It's from Jeffrey. Yeah. He says, I thought season 2 was a little improved. Everything that I was not a fan of from season 1 was toned down a bit. The Warners were written a little bit better. The songs were enjoyable to hear. I especially loved that some of the songs were educational. My only complaint is that I was not a fan of the Brain being called a supervillain. There was no Spielberg cameo." But I think Kelly agrees with you with that.
It's a very important note.
Yes.
And it was very disappointing. But what can you do? I said about it. Because, I mean, I think I've said in some points that I would have rated higher if they'd at least acknowledged like a Spielberg film or Spielberg cameo. I mean, I almost always automatically give something 5 if Spielberg shows up.
Exactly. That's all they have to do, folks. If they want to get the... Oh, well. Overall, season 2 felt a little bit like the original show. As for season 3, I'd like to see a much better cameo from other characters of the original series, an updated version of Nations of the World, and a new great Wakarati segment, and Mr. Director, which I think we know that one can only assume that Mr. Director is going to be coming back. Paul Rugg showed himself in the recording studio saying, the show's namey. And we're like, well, Paul's very good at hinting at stuff that, ignoring NDAs. He had this really great thread on Twitter a few months ago saying that I think it was something along the lines of there's an NDA, so he can't say much about the show that he just did for Netflix, but it's called this, and the character he plays is called this, and he started doing all these different stuff that you should never give away on an NDA. But that's just Paul. Paul's a funny guy, one of the funniest people we've ever met, I think. Love that guy. That's, I guess, if that's it for. Well, we have a few thoughts, I guess we should get to from our Twitter Spaces thing that Nathan and I were able to get to. So let's go to some of our listeners' thoughts right now.
Hey, Brandon. So my thoughts on season 2, and I'm gonna be all honest with you. I loved it. I'm just gonna say it out there. They added more songs, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is getting better and better.
Regular, why don't you tell us what are some of your thoughts on how the second season of the reboot went?
As for the second season, I would say that it's in general a lot better than the first in many aspects. It's like, for example, with the musicals, there's just a general. For the first time, there's actually songs that sort of match what the highs of the original show. You've got, for example, Yakko's big song, History of the World, that really match what was there in the original Animaniacs.
So there we go. Thank you so much for those folks who chimed in. That was kind of fun, Nathan. I thought it was kind of like doing
I remembered.
Yeah, kind of like doing a radio talk show a little bit. It was kind of fun. So we'll have to do another one of those eventually. It was I think a fun way. We might have to do because you know what's coming up is our 6th anniversary. Have we been doing this show? Now 6 years.
You mean 6 months?
No, 6 years. We've been doing this podcast for 6 years. The end of May is our anniversary. So
I never thought it would last like more than a year because I mean most podcasts that I've been on kind of fizzled out.
Yeah, and so
people get social lives or something. So what does that say about you?
People decide.
I'm kidding.
People decide like, you know what? I actually want a personal life, or you know, it's pretty hard to manage this and still have a relationship with my loved ones and everything like that. And I just say, what? I'm too busy editing. What are you talking about?
What loved ones? Who are you? Get out of here.
Get out of here. So we've been keeping it going 6 years, but it's been fun. It's been fun, and you know, hey, we've
only met up in person once, which is kind of
can you believe it? We talk almost every week, and yet we've only been together in the room all together as one time. So maybe we'll have to see. Hopefully, if airline prices go down, we'll have to see if we can get another meetup at some point at one of these cons, maybe, or something like that coming up this year. That'll be something we maybe do. We'll keep you guys posted. In the 6th year, the 6th zany year of the Animanicast. Well, anyway, what are you? Let me before we close things out. I guess what are your thoughts on what you'd like to see for season 3? Nathan, what would you like to see upcoming for next year?
I want to see Plots as the guard. That would make me so happy. I want to see. Obviously, you know, bring back some old characters as always. That'd be great. Yeah, I don't know. Bring back voice actors would be fun if they could. So,
all right.
Yeah.
And Kelly, what about you?
I've already mentioned I'd like to see Spielberg. That elevates an episode immediately. I hope we do get to see Mr. Director because he's awesome.
Yes.
And I love all the episodes that he was in the original series. And, more educational songs.
All right. And I will say that I hope to see, just like some of the listeners say, more classic characters return. And I won't give away because we know that some of that's going to happen. That's what I'll say for right now. Whoop, whoop. We know some of that's going to happen, folks, so I'll have more information hopefully soon. But again, a lot of it comes down to like, how much time is there left in the day? Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
Mr. Mime, here we come.
Yeah, exactly. Can't wait for the mime.
He was in an
time
episode,
to
too. It's weird.
It's weird that it wasn't. Yeah, I know. And he was back before they brought them all back, like as being hunted.
Yeah.
It was very. Look, I'll never understand some of the decisions they've made on the show, but that's not important. What is important is it's time to wrap things up and get to some contact information. Do we give Water Tower ratings for the whole season?
I can tell you. Oh, we already did. I gave you that. Well, I mean, it
like
was
an average.
3.17,
The average.
3.0.
Let's go with the average. Let's do that. I'm not going to add another number into that. That's just no.
Yeah.
So we're going to stick with our average. Let's get to some contact information. Well, Nathan, where can people find you online?
Joey, I'm on Twitter, JangoFT. That's me.
All right. And Kelly, what about you?
I'm also on Twitter, Yoda Princess, YODAPRNCSS.
All right. As for the Animanicast, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, that's where you can get in contact with us and see posts and stuff like that. We just passed 5,000 likes on Facebook. Oh my gosh. That's like one for almost every year. 1,000 for every year, almost, sort of. We just need 1,000 more. Come on, folks. We just have a few more days. Tell your friends, and then we can get 6,000 in a week. Let's see if we can do it. That's not going to happen. Also, but we are getting close to 5,000 sort of on Twitter. So if you're not following us on those things, follow us. And of course, if you really like our show and you want to give us some support and get some great bonus content, head on over to patreon.com/Animaniacast. You'll get commentaries from the creator of Animaniacs, Tom Ruegger, as well as other writers and directors of the show. It's a really fantastic place for not only helping us out with a few bucks here or there, but of course, get extra content of us. I mean, you like us, don't you? You like us. You really like us. Well, let us know. Patreon.com/Animaniacast. Well, that'll do it for today's episode. So, for Nathan and Kelly, this is Joey saying, good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
This podcast is not endorsed by Warner Brothers or Amblin Entertainment and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Animaniacs, Tiny Toon Adventures, Freakazoid, the Warner Brothers logo, all names, pictures, and sounds are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of the Animanicast unless otherwise indicated.